we were talking about this spinodal decomposition. You remember that is alpha, single phase alpha will decompose into alpha 1 plus alpha 2. And this is the free energy versus or composition curve. Looks like this. Because if you remember, the phase diagram looks like this. This is liquid, this is plus alpha, this is alpha, but this is alpha 1 plus alpha 2. And this is the free energy versus composition curve. But this is for temperature versus phase diagram. That is the phase diagram showing miscibility gap. And for that miscibility gap, this is the free energy versus composition diagram. Right? And we want to find out dz by dx. What it means? We want to find out the slope, right? Obviously. And I told you this starts with minus infinity and how increases decreases. You remember, right? This is one point. This is one point. And the point is here. And the point is here. And the point will be here. And the point will be here. And these are the important points. Remember. This is 0, this is 0, this is 0. Remember? Slope here is 0, slope here is 0, slope here is 0. These are the 3 points where slope is 0. Right? And somewhere it is increasing in negative direction, somewhere it is increasing in the positive direction. You remember, right? And finally we reach plus infinity at the end. Fine. So, if you want to find out this is g versus x and you want to find out dz by dx, so I have taken 0 here, right? So, if this line is 0, this will be positive direction. This will be negative, obviously. Similarly, this will be your positive. This will be negative. So this is the 0 line. So how we did the curve? We could start with this point and reach at 0. Okay, we will change the color. You understood now? It starts from negative and going to 0. That means this point is this point. Fine? Again it increases. So it will go higher. Yes? It will go higher and it will reach a peak value which is this one. Again it decreases. So it will move down. Okay? It will move down. This one, it will move down and become 0. This is the point. You getting this point now? This is the point, and finally, from here it is again increasing but negative direction. So it will move down. It will move like this. It will reach a point, maximum point, and finally it will go like this. And is it right? Everybody understood? And finally, if you want to find out d square g by dx square, again you want to find out the slope, second derivative, right? So how it will be? This will be like 2 points. This is a point. This is so this is one line, you can see. This is the line touching this point. This is the line touching these 2 points. And you have to remember this point and this point is called binodal. And this point and this point is called nodal. So spinodal point is the point where d square g by dx square is how much? Just check it. It is already there. D square g by dx square is how much at spinodal points? I have joined this one. I have joined with 0. Where 0. This is 0 line. So you can simply write spinodal points are those points where d square g by dx square is equal to 0. And if somebody will ask, if you take this region, spinodal region, right? So in spinodal region, d square g by dx square is how much? First question I ask, d square g by dx square for spinodal points, that is 0, you can see. I know, because it is meeting 0. This point is meeting 0, right? This point is also meeting 0. That's all. But inside region is how much? D square g by dx square inside region will be negative. Very good, negative. No, because it is going downward. Negative direction. This is positive, this is negative direction. This is this one. You can write simply these two points. So for spinodal point, d square g by dx square is 0 and d square g by dx square is negative for spinodal region. These 2 points you can write. Shall I repeat this one? D square g by dx square is equal to 0 for spinodal point. And d square g by dx square is negative for spinodal region. It is clear from this slope and double derivative of slope. So tell me, what are these points? Which one is binodal, which one is spinodal? If you are taking a temperature of room temperature, which point is spinodal, which point is binodal? It is clearly seen. This point is binodal, this point is binodal, and this point is spinodal, this point is spinodal. Very good. You can write it if you want. All are looking at a single point right here. So if somebody asks, show spinodal curve, binodal curve. So this curve is binodal, inside curve is spinodal curve. You can write. Fine. Points and curve. Very simple. So now there is a that's right. So now we want to we are concerned with this one. How alpha is becoming alpha 1 and alpha 2. That means alpha is splitting into 2, right? 2 phases, alpha 1 and alpha 2. How it is splitting, we'll discuss that right now. So we have, suppose that means we will take 2 alloy. One alloy will be of this much, and one alloy is of this much. This is the composition. This is the composition. Okay? So this is suppose alloy 1. This is alloy 2. What is the difference between these 2 alloys? Composition difference. That means first alloy 1 is in between binodal and spinodal. Agree? Right? You are choosing a composition which is in between. This is binodal. This is spinodal. Right? So first alloy is in between binodal and spinodal. So this is one condition. And another condition is you are choosing this composition which is inside the binodal only. Inside the spinodal. Because this one is spinodal. So we will discuss how alpha become alpha 1 and alpha 2 for these 2 kinds of alloy. So first we will discuss about this one and discuss about this one. Alloy 1 how it will split, alloy 2 how it will split into alpha 1 and alpha 2. So the first one will be this margin. This is the entire material, right? So this is alpha 2. This is alpha 2. So this will be alpha, initial alpha. So this yellow means yellow region is completely alpha because we have initially alpha that is splitting into alpha 1 and alpha 2. So first that means alpha 2 is forming, right? Alpha 2 is first forming. Right. So this region is what? Alpha. This region is also alpha. This region is alpha. But alpha 2 has formed. Right. If alpha 2 will form, obviously alpha 1 will form. Because you remember alpha 1, alpha 2 difference in composition. One will be A rich phase, one will be B rich phase. That's so that is the thing. So how this is happening? This is happening. What exactly happens? Listen carefully. You have single phase alpha cause. Sometimes what happens? Composition variation occurs automatically. Automatically some region becomes reaching B, for example. So if some region automatically become rich in B, that becomes alpha 2. Right? If you remember the diagram, A and B. B region. Right? This is alpha 2, this is alpha 1, this is alpha. Right? So automatically certain region will be having more number of B atoms, that means. So that region becomes alpha 2. Right? And this alpha 2 wants to grow. How it will grow? If B atoms will come more and more to descend this. You understand my point? If more number of B atoms will come to alpha 2, it will grow obviously into bigger and bigger size. Right? So this will grow slowly. The atom, fine. The atom B atom will come from alpha only. From alpha it will come now. So atom is moving like this. Right? Atom is moving like this, and finally it will become this. So this is finally will become. So last alpha will become what? Alpha. Again I am repeating. This is very simple. Imagine a situation where you have alpha only. Right? Alpha only means everywhere A and B atoms are present, uniform. Right? But sometimes it happens B atoms get segregated in one region, and it gets segregated in another region. Right? So that two regions become alpha 2 because it contains more amount of B, less amount of A. Right? And if this two alpha 2 want to grow, then B atoms should move towards them only. Then only it will grow. Okay? So this B atom will come from alpha phase only, initial alpha phase. So this is going, you can see these are atoms are going to alpha 2. Slowly it will grow, right? But alpha 1, a time will come when alpha 1 having less amount of B. That means obviously more amount of A will be present. So that area will become alpha 1. Right? So first what happens? Alpha will give you alpha 2 due to segregation of B atoms in certain region. Then what happens? Alpha will finally become. This is the situation. And this situation happens when you are choosing in between binodal and sphenoidal. Yes? But now situation is different. You have chosen a composition which is in between these two binodal. So shall alpha will split into alpha 1 and alpha 2 like this? Answer is no. There is another way of splitting. I'll discuss that. It is fine, I think. So another way of splitting of alpha into alpha 1 and alpha 2 is, this is also very simple. Let's tell you. You have a line and this is your initial alpha. This is a straight line. What exactly it means? That means everywhere you have same composition. A and B are same, uniform composition, right? But sometimes what happens in a nanometer scale, you can understand. Nanometer scale means very small scale. There is a thermal fluctuation. Thermal fluctuation means temperature will change. Somewhere temperature will be higher, somewhere temperature will be lower. So if there will be a thermal fluctuation in a nanometer range, what happens? Chemical composition variations will also start. Okay? But temperature will be high. Some atoms will migrate from low temperature region, obviously. You understand my point? Again I am repeating. This is the initial condition of alpha. It exactly means you have uniform composition of A and B everywhere. But thermal fluctuation starts in a nanometer scale. Thermal fluctuation means temperature is not same everywhere now. Somewhere temperature is high, somewhere temperature is low. Just very slight difference will be there. Okay? And due to this thermal fluctuation, composition fluctuation will start. Right? If composition fluctuation will start, means somewhere more B atom will be there, somewhere less B atom will be there. Where less B atom will be there, that is more A, obviously. You understood? So what happens? Next, thermal fluctuation has started. I can write thermal fluctuation, that will give you compositional fluctuation. Right? So what happens? Let me draw it here. Okay. What happens basically? This is the initial. So due to this, you can see what happens. Okay, this is the thermal beta. There is slight change in composition. You understood now? There is a change in composition now. This area is suppose. These are the change in composition points. Suppose this area is alpha 2, this area is alpha 1. Okay, that means this area is having more number of B atoms, this area is having less number of B atoms, that means more number of A atom will be present. Similarly, this will be alpha 2, this will be alpha 1. Right? Now, if this is the situation, if you remember, I have shown you the unstable alpha phase. We have seen the stable alpha phase and unstable alpha phase. Just check the previous class one, right? When it is unstable alpha phase, alpha single phase alpha have higher free energy, but when it decomposes into alpha 1 plus alpha 2, it has lower free energy. So that means this kind of situation is favorable now. System want to reduce its free energy if it becomes alpha 1 plus alpha 2. You understood now? Initially they have alpha, but due to thermal fluctuation and compositional fluctuation, this kind of situation is arising. So this kind of situation arises means this is favorable condition. Alpha is split into alpha 1 and alpha 2. So it will, what happens with time? It will become like this. Just have a look. Further with time, they are growing. Alpha phase is growing, alpha 2 phase is growing, alpha 1 phase is growing, alpha 2 phase is growing. Right? So this is the splitting. Right? You can move like that. So this is the way. So what is happening? You can see the composition is fixed, but the amplitude is, this is the amplitude. No? This is a wave kind of thing. No? Wave. So this is the amplitude. Your amplitude is increasing with time. That's all. So this is the way of splitting of alpha into alpha 1 and alpha 2 if you are choosing the composition in between the spinodal point. And first one is in between binodal and spinodal. Okay. No. Spinodal and binodal, they are a region where there is a miscibility gap. This is the region of miscibility gap now. This is the region of miscibility gap, right? Because this is alpha and this is alpha 1 plus alpha 2. This point is binodal point and this point is spinodal point. Right? This region is of stable. You can call this region as metastable. But inside this you can call it unstable completely. You understand my point? So you can choose different alloy. If you are choosing an alloy in between spinodal point, so decomposition of alpha into alpha 1 and alpha 2 will be in this kind of situation. Right? But if you are choosing a point in between these two, then decomposition will happen in different way. But at the end, the thing is alpha will become alpha 1 plus alpha 2. Why? Because free energy is getting reduced. That's why. So in the previous class I also told you, if you remember, if you want a spinodal decomposition to happen, then you should have a miscibility gap first in the phase diagram. That is the first point. And this is the miscibility gap showing. Alpha is not stable. Alpha is becoming alpha 1 plus alpha 2, right? So miscibility gap occurs when you have dead edge mixing is positive. Enthalpy of mixing should be positive, then only miscibility gap will happen, because they don't like. If you put two atoms intentionally and they don't like, they will segregate. One will be A each way, one will be B each way. But if they like each other, they will form isomorphous system. Everywhere you have same number of A, same number of B, right? But if they are liking so much, so they can form bond and they can form a compound. That's all. Okay? So these are the things. So everything comes from this delta H mix, right here. It may be 0, it may be positive, it may be negative. Okay, you tell me now, suppose I'll draw 3 phase diagram. I draw this 3 phase diagram. Okay, this is B, this is A. These are 3 phase diagrams, right? You remember top part is always regions are two phase regions, right? This is alpha, this is alpha, this is alpha, and this is two phase region, liquid plus alpha. This is also, and this is also. Now you tell me in which case delta H mix is 0, in which case delta H mix is positive, in which case delta H mix is negative. This, if I will prepare the question, I will give a question like this. I told you three situations. Delta H mix may be 0, delta H mix may be positive, it may be negative. Very good, obviously. Because they are soluble in one another, there is no reaction at all. And they are not also they don't repel each other also. They don't attract, they don't repel, they just mix. Right? So this is very good. Delta H mix is 0. Now tell me which one is positive, which one is negative.
Third one positive.
Second one is
Negative. Second one negative.
second one is positive. And last one negative. So you can see because a compound is formed at this reason. This is the reason a compound is formed. Right? That's why that means in this reason which one is stable phase, liquid or alpha? For this reason and this reason which one is stable phase, liquid and alpha? Alpha. This reason alpha is stable. That means solid is stable because you can see the temperature axis. You are increasing the temperature, still solid is there. That means in this phase diagram liquid is unstable but alpha is stable. But in this phase diagram you can see liquid is more stable. You are adding B into A, the temperature is going down. More liquid is here up to a certain temperature. Okay? So here liquid is more stable, here solid is more stable. And this kind of situation is occurring because a compound is forming. Right? When a compound forms, there is a strong bond between A and B and they have very high melting point obviously. So that's why they are in solid. They do not melt easily.
ऐसा हो सकता है कि सेकंड वाले में कम टेंपरेचर पे ज्यादा सॉल्युबिलिटी है इसीलिए डेल्टा H पॉजिटिव.
See, we are solubility basically we are talking about this one is complete solubility, right? But here some certain solubility is here also certain solubility is present. But in this case a compound is forming, right? But in this case basically compound is not forming, you can say. But if it is forming, it do not have, so actually in this case it do not form. Compound do not form basically. Here a compound forms, stable compound. This composition is giving you a stable compound. But if you are choosing this composition, there is no compound formation. Right? इसमें से दिखा रहा है actually compound formation नहीं होता है. नहीं, liquid become liquid plus alpha. Then if you go down, it will become alpha. Right? Sorry. If you remember, eutectic phase diagram. Anybody remember the eutectic phase diagram? हाँ. तो जहाँ पे eutectic point है, वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? एक ही point में melting होता है ना? Same thing happens. Sorry. हाँ, liquid becomes alpha simply or two phases. इसमें compound नहीं बन रहा है ना, मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Sorry. इसमें बनेगा एक्चुअली ये जो पॉइंट है ना इसमें बनता है एग्जैक्टली.
वो टेंपरेचर कंपोजिशन का ग्राफ है तो वो जो पॉइंट है ऊपर लिक्विड है या अल्फा. तो अगर टेंपरेचर में उसका कर देंगे तो लिक्विड से अल्फा फेज ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन को दिखेगा वो पॉइंट है.
देखो डिस्कशन का क्या मतलब था. You choose different temperature. Just choose different temperature. This is the low temperature. You are increasing the temperature, right? Similarly, you choose different temperature. You remember, eutectic point is what? It is a single point. You remember, and at that point, the alloy is showing minimum melting point, right? तो तुम यहाँ पे choose किए alloy, यहाँ पे एक alloy choose किए, यहाँ पे किए, तो कहाँ पे सबसे minimum melting point है? ये वाला पॉइंट है, राइट? तो ये सबसे मिनिमम मेल्टिंग पॉइंट है, तो यूटेक्टिक ये एक्चुअली यूटेक्टिक फेज डायग्राम है बेसिकली, राइट? यू अंडरस्टूड नाउ. बट ये जो सिचुएशन है, राइट? तो ये जो सिचुएशन है यहाँ से चूज करो. लो टेम्परेचर चूज किया अल्फा. बट यहाँ पे जब आए दो फेज, बट यहाँ पे तुम आ रहे हो ना, देखो यहाँ पे टू फेज, दिस इज टू फेज, ऐसा करते करते टू फेज रीजन आ रहा है, बट टू फेज रीजन भी जो है वो क्या हो रहा है, मतलब सॉलिड साइन है, इट इज गोइंग अप, द सॉलिड साइन इज मूविंग अप एंड इट इज मीटिंग a point at a particular composition. So where it meets basically, that is the formation of compound. Why I am saying, because when a compound forms, that compound has high melting point, right? Where it is forming a solid solution, its melting point is low because two phases are there, liquid and solid. But where it is forming a compound, that compound is very stable, you cannot break. What is melting point? We know that the bond strength is very high. If a substance has high melting point, that means bond strength is very high. You understood now? If a compound has low melting point, its bond strength is very low, right? So here basically there is no compound formation, but here there is a formation of compound. This kind of phase diagram is called pseudo-eutectic. If you want, you can write it. This kind of phase diagram is called pseudo-eutectic. Pseudo means pseudo, imaginary, not the real situation, right? And this kind of phase diagram is called congruent melting point. So you can write it. Congruent melting point phase diagram. Today we will go and check magnesium silicon phase diagram. Otherwise you can check it right now. Phase diagram of magnesium and silicon. Just type it, you will get it. In the Google you type phase diagram of silicon magnesium and you click on the images. So Vedant, what is your doubt? I understand. See, at a particular composition, as I told, when you are mixing two substances, compound will not form unless until they are in proper ratio or proportion. So that means at this particular point you are forming a compound. And if it forms a compound, the melting point will go high. That means solid state is more stable up to higher temperature, right? But if it will form a solid solution, its melting point may not be high, right? This is an imaginary diagram basically. It doesn't mean that at this particular composition a compound may form. The compound may form here also. So here the melting point will be high. Just check it, magnesium silicon phase diagram. What is written? Which kind of phase diagram is this? Magnesium silicon. Magnesium silicon forms a compound, and you can check the melting point of that. What is the difference? Can you figure it out in these two things? Which one is precipitate and which one is matrix in this both case? The first one, in the first case, which one is matrix and which one is precipitate? Alpha is the matrix, theta is the precipitate. Very good. Precipitate is a particle which forms on a matrix, right? And second case, which one is alpha is again matrix, beta is the precipitate. But what is the difference between these two? Size difference. Very good. So here you have different particle size, or you have different size of precipitate, but you have same size precipitate. So now the question is, already I covered this part in the IBM, precipitation strengthening, right? and how particle portioning happens, I told you, right? That's why we are going for dispersion strengthening, if you remember. Right? The main issue with precipitation strengthening is precipitate grows with time. If precipitate grows with time, the strength will reduce. You remember that, right? You gonna appear examination of IPM, right? So you should know these concepts anyway. So tell me, in both cases the particle will grow, or in one case the particle will grow with time, or in both cases particle will not grow with time. Three situations. First situation, in both cases particle will grow or not. Second case, in which case particle will grow, in which case particle will not grow. Or in last case, the particle will not grow at all with time and temperature. Okay, fine. Anyone want to speak anything about this? Second में grow नहीं होगा. Also, what is the concept of particle portioning? What is the name? Mechanism. The mechanism of particle portioning. What is that? Oswald ripening. Remember? Oswald ripening. Oswald ripening. I told an example. If you go to the oceans, bigger fish eat smaller fish, right? They do that in the real situation. And bigger fish will eat engulf the smaller fish, and they grow bigger and bigger with age, right? And smaller fish will disappear. Right? So this is the situation. You have smaller fish and bigger fish, for example. So what will happen? Bigger fish will engulf the smaller fish, right? So bigger particles will consume the smaller particles. So smaller particle will happen what? They will reduce in its size, but bigger particle will grow into bigger and bigger. Right? So in other way I can say bigger particle grow in expense of smaller particles. A bigger precipitate grows in expense of smaller precipitate. That is called Oswald ripening. So a time will come, what happens at the end? All the small particles will disappear, and you will having big size of precipitate only. Right? But here the situation is all particles are of same size. So precipitation portioning will not happen. All are same size. Okay? And you know, if something is growing means some atoms are joining that particular phase. Right? Atoms will join, then it will grow, no? Right? That means nucleation has happened, then growth has happened. Growth will happen by diffusion mechanism. Because you are rising the temperature, diffusion will be faster with increasing the temperature. The particle will become coarser and coarser. Right? So my point is, in this situation, precipitation portioning will not happen because all are of same size. But in this situation, precipitation portioning will happen. Smaller particle will disappear, bigger particle will grow bigger and bigger and bigger. That is difficult. Okay, that's a very good question. Very good question. Okay, you remember in a metallic materials or crystalline materials, we have lot of regions, right? One is inside grain, one is a grain boundary region, one is maybe dislocations will be there, some reason maybe stacking faults will be there, right? And you remember when three grains meet, what is that point? Triple junctions, very good, you remember, triple junction, right? So we have lot of region in a crystalline materials, right? And if you remember, you remember, right? If something want to form, where it will form? Where there will be high energy available. First condition I told, in a crystalline materials we have lot of regions. Inside grain, you have, or you can say surface. First is the surface. You have triple junctions. You have grain boundary. Grain boundary means when two grain meet, that is grain boundary. If three grain meet, that is triple junctions, right? You have dislocation somewhere, right? And you have stacking faults. So different things are there. So different things have different amount of energy available. So precipitation will happen in which area? Where there will be a maximum energy available. You understood? And what is the sequence? Anybody remember? Very good. So first comes the surface. That means surface has maximum energy available. But surface means everywhere. So we negate it. Fine. Then we will move to next. Triple junction, right? Next energy, grain boundary. Next, no, stacking fault.
Stacking for.
Then dislocation. Finally, after dislocation, you have vacancies also, right? Vacancies are always available in vacancies. So this is the order. So it simply means, I want to answer your question. It simply means precipitation will start, suppose, from here. So most of the triple junctions are covered with precipitate now, right? That is called site saturation. Site saturation. That means all the triple junctions are fully precipitate. No. That means not a single triple junction is now free. They are covered with precipitate. Suppose new precipitate want to form. Where it will form? You will choose grain boundary now. You understood what I say? Suppose all the triple junctions are covered with precipitate. That is called site saturation. Already those sites are saturated with precipitate. So new precipitate want to form. Where it will form? It will choose some other site where the energy is more higher. So it will choose the grain boundary now. So first condition, you have nucleation of precipitate on the triple junction. So those precipitate will become bigger and bigger with time. But the new precipitate which forms in the grain boundary, they will be smaller in size. So if you look into time interval, you have bigger precipitate and smaller precipitate, right? So bigger precipitate will be in the triple junction area, but smaller precipitate which have nucleated recently, they will be in the grain boundary area. You understood? Suppose new precipitate want to form again, because you are heating continuously. You are heating the sample. You allow diffusion to happen. Atoms will move. So stacking fault will cover with new precipitate. Maybe dislocation will cover with new. So obviously, so you will have a different precipitate. But if you want to form a precipitate of same size, it is not possible actually. It is not possible, right? But one thing can be done. That is theoretically, not practically. If you do homogeneous nucleation, you remember homogeneous nucleation? That means probability of nucleation is same everywhere. Everywhere. It may be grain boundary, it may be dislocation, it may be anything. But everywhere nucleation will start at the same time, right? And you stop the nucleation now. What will happen? Homogeneous nucleation has happened for a certain time and you stop the nucleation. They all will have same size. All nuclei will have same size. They may grow somewhat bigger and they will stop. They will not grow further. Okay? But that is not practically feasible because many sites are available in a crystalline material. That's all. So every time you do precipitation, you have different size of particles and particle portioning will happen anyhow with temperature, right? You have a bigger you have a small precipitate and you have a big precipitate. Suppose this is beta precipitate. This result will be what? Can you tell me? This is the matrix. So this is also alpha, this is not alpha. These are two. This is small, this is the big precipitate. What I want to say is, if you check the equilibrium composition of alpha with this precipitate and equilibrium composition of alpha with this precipitate. What is the similarity between these two precipitate? Can you tell me? Both are beta. So, same crystal structure, same composition. Because it is a compound. Compound will never form if they are not in a proper ratio or proper proportion. So, this precipitate common is they have same crystal structure and same composition. Right? But they can grow. That's all. If this is bigger, this is smaller. So, my point is the composition of alpha matrix equilibrium with this precipitate and composition of alpha matrix in equilibrium with this precipitate will is not same actually, different. Composition of alpha equilibrium with small precipitate and composition of alpha equilibrium with this big precipitate is not same, it is different. You remember how flux comes? Anybody remember flux? J. How flux comes? J is equal to minus d dc by dx.
Yes.
What is this? And what is this? Concentration with respect to distance, right? अगर concentration gradient होगा, यदि आप higher concentration है, lower concentration है, diffusion तो होगा ही होगा from higher to lower, right? So now what I told, the concentration of alpha in equilibrium with this one, concentration of alpha in equilibrium with this one is not same. It is different. Actually, it is higher here. You should remember. It is higher here. The concentration of alpha in equilibrium with small precipitate is higher. Concentration of alpha in equilibrium with big precipitate is lower. So कहाँ से कहाँ अब एटम माइग्रेट करेगा बताओ खुद. Small to big, obviously. So atom will migrate from here to, but it directly do not migrate. It goes into alpha. From alpha, it precipitate on this bigger precipitates. So atoms moves from small precipitate to big precipitate. So what will happen? If atom will move from small to big, small precipitate will be reduced in size slowly with time. So this will become like this, and finally it will disintegrate at the end. And this will become more bigger. Okay, I have no space here. You can understand. Become more bigger, and more bigger. Okay, if you want to measure the curvature, tell me in which case you have a large curvature, in which case you have a small curvature, small and big. Curvature मतलब समझ रहे हो ना, curvature, right? तो छोटा precipitate में ज़्यादा curvature है या बड़ा में ज़्यादा curvature है? ठीक से देखो, अच्छे से देखो, किसमें ज़्यादा curvature है? Actually, that is called effect of curvature. Small one have a large curvature. Small particles always have a large curvature. अगर curvature ज़्यादा होगा, तुम्हारा free energy भी ज़्यादा होगा. This is the concept you can write if you want. Small particles have high curvature. If it has a high curvature, then surface energy is very high, or free energy is very high. Surface energy is very high, or free energy is very high. So in simple words, what I can say? This precipitate has high free energy. This precipitate has low free energy. And obviously system want to reduce the free energy. तो क्या होगा? ये बड़ा होता जाएगा, क्योंकि जितना बड़ा ज़्यादा होगा उतना फ्री एनर्जी कम होता जाएगा तुम्हारा, क्योंकि कर्वेचर बड़ा होता जाएगा, राइट? सॉरी, छोटा कम होता जाएगा, राइट? So this is the situation. So atoms will migrate from here to here, and it will grow into bigger and bigger. That is called Ostwald ripening. Right? Bigger precipitate grows in expense of smaller precipitate. You draw it just. This is small theta. This is big. तो ये क्या है हमारा? This is what? Concentration gradient. This is the concentration gradient. This is a higher concentration gradient. This is a lower concentration gradient. What I told? Composition of alpha in equilibrium with small precipitate. Composition of alpha in equilibrium with bigger precipitate. किसमें ज़्यादा है? Small में ज़्यादा है. Clearly दिखा रहा है यहाँ पे, right? So this is the diagram showing composition of alpha in equilibrium with small precipitate is higher, but composition of alpha in equilibrium with bigger precipitate is lower. So there is a concentration gradient. तो atom हमेशा move करेगा from higher to lower. तो क्या होगा? With diffusion ये बड़ा होता जाएगा, राइट? और ये क्या होगा? इसका क्या होगा? ये
छोटा हो
जाएगा, राइट? This green color means it is becoming smaller and smaller, and this blue color means it is becoming bigger and bigger. तो तुम खुद बताओ अभी. So with time this gradient will be more bigger or less bigger?
less.
कम होता जाएगा gradient. So with time what happens? This concentration gradient will increase, will not decrease basically, or increase. You think of it.
Increase.
Okay, this is the assignment. You can write. You can write. Okay, you write two questions. When alpha becomes alpha 1 and alpha 2, write it quickly. Huh? When alpha becomes alpha 1 and alpha 2, what happens to, and alpha 1 and alpha 2 wants to grow. When alpha becomes alpha 1 and alpha 2, and alpha 1 and alpha 2 wants to grow, what happened to the concentration gradient? And second question, when bigger precipitate grows and smaller precipitate shrink. Next question is, when bigger precipitate grows and smaller precipitate shrink, what happened to the concentration gradient? Second question is, when bigger precipitate grows and smaller precipitate shrink, what happens to the concentration gradient? You just use your mind, huh? Or you can go through the textbook if you want.
Which test?
अच्छा, और एक diagram, last. So this is alpha, and this is suppose beta, and this is also beta. Can you tell me what is the difference here? Suppose, oh yeah, tell me what is the difference. One beta is having higher free energy, this one, and this beta is having lower free energy, right? So one will be smaller, one will be bigger. What I told, the composition of alpha in equilibrium with smaller precipitate and bigger precipitate is not same, it is different. How you can justify? Equilibrium concentration कैसे निकालते हैं? By joining two endpoints.
हाँ.
Tangent, you have to draw a tangent.
Common tangent.
I will change the color. मान लो कि ये tangent है. This composition is equilibrium with this composition. This composition of alpha is equilibrium with this composition of bigger precipitate. Okay, fine. This is, you should write. This is bigger. And this is. अब इसके लिए ड्रॉ करना पड़ेगा, राइट? सॉरी. अब ठीक है. How to find out composition? You have to join, because this axis is showing composition, right? So this is one point, and another point is. अब खुद चेक करो, composition same है क्या दोनों की? For this tangent, the composition is this one. For this tangent, the composition is this one. Right? You understood now? This is composition of alpha in equilibrium with what? This is bigger beta, B beta angle, not B beta. And this part is composition of alpha in equilibrium with small. S means small, B means big. You understood now? So this is also a diagram showing composition of alpha is different for different precipitate size. अगर मैं और भी छोटा प्रेसिपिटेट लूंगा तो फ्री एनर्जी का कर्व कैसे होगा बताओ? ये और भी ऊपर जाएगा, राइट? अगर मान लो कि अल्फा मैट्रिक्स का जो ग्रेन है वो छोटा रहेगा तो फ्री एनर्जी कर्व में क्या चेंजेस आएगा बताओ? तो ये भी ऊपर जाएगा, राइट? दिस विल आल्सो गो हायर. If you make the grain size smaller and smaller and smaller, suppose you take a micrometer grain and you take a nanometer grain, so free energy curve will be more higher. Okay, fine. I'm done with this. I think you people have understood up to this, huh? Yeah, you can leave.